as you know, King Charles and Queen Camilla have wrapped up their state visit to the U.S. for the 250th anniversary of our independence and to solidify the special relationship. One special relationship that is just increasingly less so is clearly the one between the king and his wayward son, Harry. No visit, no, not so much a FaceTime with the grandchildren as far as we know. Tell us what this means.
Well, I think it means that Harry's on the outs totally. First of all, we need to remember that California is 3,000 miles away from Washington and New York. So they weren't exactly in the same corner of the, so to speak. But there was no way that the king or President Trump would ever have sullied the visit with having any reaction or interchange with Harry or Meghan. I mean, let's remember, Meghan has been extremely abusive where Donald Trump is concerned from before he was president. And when he was in Britain after the birth of Archie, she could have easily and should have joined the rest of the family at Buckingham Palace and didn't. She was being very pointed because she is so politically aggressive. And it wasn't enough to snub him, but she had to let the world know that she was snubbing him. So, of course, he's not going to have her. And quite frankly, my understanding is the king and the queen wouldn't have wanted Harry or Meghan within 1,000 miles of them, because they would have stolen the attention. They would have it would have become the Meghan and Harry dog and pony show.
Oh, I love that dog and pony show. I love that. But Lady C, what I find interesting is that it could have been made clear that as back in September, when there was that closed door summit between the king and Harry in Britain, it could have been made clear, well, the king was happy. There's something about, yes, I take your point. It's 3,000 miles roughly between California and DC, but there's something about being in the same country, the same continent, and the younger members of the family not availing themselves of any number of private planes to go and have a quiet closed door meeting with their children, with the grandfather of these children. And I find it remarkable. I also find it interesting that Charles and Camilla did a couple of very high profile things. They visited Ground Zero, and then they went to Arlington National Cemetery, which in the United States is probably our most hallowed ground. It is for the slain servicemen and women of wars going back centuries. And that to me seemed almost a pointed rebuke to Meghan and Harry's stunt that they pulled when they first came to the United States on Remembrance Day. Remember that?
Oh, you mean when she paraded in her high heels and the black dress, walking on the graves of all
Yes.
of yes, so disrespectful.
And they called the paparazzi. It was Harry and Meghan's, show of remembrance, even though they had ejected themselves from the royal family. And wouldn't you know it, last week, Harry parachutes in, as it were, unannounced in Ukraine, calling for Vladimir Putin to end this war. I'm sure Vladimir Putin took that extremely seriously. And here he is. I would love your reaction to this. We're going to play just a little bit from ITV on April 24th. Harry being asked, is he still a working royal? Does he think that the phrase not a working royal is something that applies to him? Here we go.
Harry, do you recognise that phrase, not a working royal? I mean, it strikes me, you're obviously from the royal family, you're here doing a trip, bringing attention to a really important cause that risks being forgotten. Do you recognise that description of you?
No, I will always be part of the royal family, and I'm here working and doing the very thing that I was born to do, and I enjoy doing it.
Lady C, I mean, if this is just not a complete attempt at telling the royals, no matter what the late queen mandated when those two left, with a nice amount of money, by the way, uh, Harry's going to do it his way, half in, half out, and so is his wife. And if the British royal family doesn't like it, too bad.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he has in not only with Chris Ship in Ukraine, but he had his people announce in Australia that really they have ripped up the Sandringham Agreement to which they had never agreed. Well, the fact of the matter is, it wasn't a matter of them agreeing or not agreeing. These were the terms and conditions under which they left. And, Harry seems to have forgotten that he's dealing with a head of state and he's dealing with something that has legal power. And he and Meghan think they can just go and do whatever they want and that everybody's just going to have to accept it. I do think that there are things that the British Crown can do and should do, because at the moment, Harry is subject, as are all the other members of the royal family, to the Lord Chamberlain's guidance and the Lord Chamberlain's regulations governing the conduct of royals. And that includes no commercialization of their activities, save with the specific consent on each occasion. So anything they want to do commercially has to be approved upfront and ticked off. They don't do that. They are completely ignoring the Lord Chamberlain's guidelines. But because they are merely guidelines, because the royal family has never had a problem like this before, where you have a really very disordered and disorderly couple just doing exactly as they please. Because even the Windsors, never ever just threw the rules back in everybody's face. And these are not laws, these are rules and guidelines. They really need to be beefed up, and they can be beefed up. And I would imagine if it doesn't happen in this reign, it's going to happen in the next reign, where they will be beefed up and have force of law. Where, for instance, instead of the Lord Chamberlain's guidelines saying you can't do commercial activity save with the consent, but there are no consequences. The consequences could be that if you defy the ruling, that you will be prevented from using your title. Not that your title will be taken away from you, that you will be prevented. There are all sorts of ways around this, which have so far not been explored, and so far the rules haven't been actually put into place in such a way that they have lawful consequences. But they can have consequences. And I think something like this is going to have to be done down the line, because Meghan and Harry are both uncontrollable. He
Hmm.
used to be controllable.
Hmm.
Was difficult to control, but he could be controlled. She has always been uncontrollable. One of the reasons why I wrote my book initially was that I was approached by people who were very concerned at her uncontrollability while they were both still in the royal family. And my book was initially conceived to be a shot across the bows. And my book was due to be handed in on Valentine's Day, and they leapt about 4 weeks, 3 weeks before they did Mexit. And
Hmm.
so my book actually then had to be rewritten in bit. But the point is, this has always been a problem because Meghan has been uncontrollable from the word go. She doesn't care what anybody says. She does what she pleases. But this is not a way of running a country. And let's remember, we are dealing with a head of state and the royal family. So we are dealing with a country and a country's rules.
Ladies, see when you just said that about the rules that can be you could put some muscle behind them and really try to get these two under control. When you said you could say to them, you may not use the titles anymore. We will not strip you, but you may not use them. I hear that and I think to myself, as you just said, they have no regard for anyone but themselves. They love spitting in the face of the British royal family. Were that to happen, I would imagine they would still insist on calling themselves the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, of being announced as such, as being treated as such. And to watch King Charles come here to the United States and be given a privilege that is really afforded to no other foreign dignitary or leader, which is to address Congress. And to just wish that he could show the fortitude that is needed. I'm sure this is very difficult for him. It is his son. But this is completely out of control. Your son is in Ukraine speaking as a royal. What is happening?
Well, of course, a part of the problem, Maureen, is that there are political issues going on behind the scenes because the British government is very left of the American government. And the British government, the French government, and the German government don't actually want Trump to succeed in Ukraine. They have set about sabotaging many of the peace efforts for their own domestic political reasons. So there's all of that going on as well. But I think that even if Harry and Meghan are were in breach of the beefed up rules and regulations, it would then put the royal family and the British government and the British nation in a far stronger position because people would then know that they are breaking the rules and that they are not it would be a slap in their face. It would be removing some of their credibility. They wouldn't then be able to go on these faux royal tours because they would be going on faux royal tours as acknowledged phonies by the royal family. So I think that would strip a layer of respectability from them that at the moment still exists. What do you think?
As you're speaking, I'm thinking, okay, they have already announced that Africa is next. Harry and Meghan are going to do a faux royal tour of Africa. I just read a report before coming on with you that William and Catherine, who just celebrated their 15th anniversary this week, again, overshadowed by these hijinks, these most unroyal hijinks, are now reportedly planning their own trip to Australia as almost a response to Harry and Meghan's recent jaunt. And all of this just feels way too messy. We in America watch this and we just cannot understand. I mean, is it a great distraction? Is this actually a great distraction from, say, Andrew and what's been happening with the Epstein files? Would the British royal family rather have us talking about these two than Andrew and what's coming next for him?
Well, I think it's apples and oranges, but both of them are used to make fruit cocktail.
I mean, I do think the Epstein files is far graver than Harry and Meghan, Meghan trying to get another Netflix deal or did you hear this, Lady C, that the reports in the United States are that Meghan Markle is convinced that her invitation to the Met Gala, which is on Monday, 3 days from now, is coming any minute.
Oh,
can you believe it?
But Maureen, you and I remember that night before last, we were having dinner with Anna Wintour, and Anna Wintour said, we can't have the Met Gala without Meghan. And Lauren Bezos said, oh, absolutely, we need Meghan. Without Meghan, it won't have any class.
I recall it well. It's so funny. Lauren Sanchez Bezos, who had Meghan and Harry to the private residence that she shares with Jeff, uh, for Kris Kardashian's 70th, which was only a few months ago. So if she's in with Lauren Bezos, who is the head of the Met Gala this year, the head, and Meghan is persona non grata. I mean, it just goes to show you, she will never crack the world of high fashion ever, or what passes for high fashion these days.
Well, she was never going to because she doesn't dress properly and she doesn't have the right figure. Uh, so, I mean, I know that she used to have on her card that she was a supermodel. I mean, she
Did
was a
she?
supermodel. Yes, yes. She was a
Stop.
supermodel. And I was a bar of soap along with Cindy Crawford. Don't you remember? I mean, the woman is delusional. But she also, she's so toxic now that nobody wants to associate with her. Remember when she was trying to worm her way into Dior, and Dior said no, thank you, but they gave Harry a Dior suit to wear to was it the Queen's silver platinum
Was it the
jubilee?
Jubilee? The
Yeah.
Dior gave that's yes, and then there were the rumors. Well, will Harry sign as with the House of Dior? But you're so right about that. I remember that. You hear these big rumors going around, and that it's Meghan calling whomever or one of her functionaries to say, yeah, the House of Dior they would die to have Meghan. They would die. She's considering it. Speaking of, who's been very quiet lately, Lady C, now that I think about it? Omid Scobie. Have you
Oh,
any intel about what the state of his relationship with the gruesome twosome may be?
well, I think, darling, you mean amid scabies, surely.
Forgive me. I stand corrected.
Funnily enough, he lives in the same building as the son of friends of mine.
No kidding.
Oh, I wish I could find the photograph of him in the building. uh, I think he's been markled the way Jessica Mulroney has been markled. He's of no further use, and everything he's tried recently, poor darling, has failed. I mean, one's heart would bleed for him if one had a heart where he was concerned, but one doesn't.
It's so true. Everyone gets markled eventually. Everyone gets markled. And I guess I'll end with this for today. Um, we still keep hearing that the ultimate person to be markled will eventually be Harry. It will eventually be Harry. And that the only way there will be a way back for him eventually under a King William. I do not see it. I do not. Um, but that way back, were there to be one, would be without Meghan. What do you think right now?
Oh, well, it absolutely won't be with Meghan, that's for sure. I mean, the king, the queen especially, William and Catherine don't want to have a thing to do with her. They all know she's anathema. I mean, the most forgiving of the four of them would be Charles, but he has a wife who, let's remember, Meghan has trashed Camilla, as has Harry, and Meghan has trashed the king, the racist king, and the
Mhm.
racist Princess of Wales.
Mhm.
And William has never, ever been in a room alone with Meghan because he saw Meghan's possibilities up front. And he has made sure that in all the time that they have known each other, he was never in a room with her alone. So prevent the possibility of Meghan taking out her embroidery set and coming up with some fancy fandangle. And there's no way, nobody wants to have anything to do with her because they know she's toxic. And also, what people don't realize is that the royal family is a lot more sophisticated in psychological terms than people think they are. I mean, most people here all over the world think that the British are generally not as into psychology as the Americans. But let's remember, Prince Philip's aunt, Princess Marie Bonaparte, Princess George of Greece. She was one of the two female psychoanalysts trained by Freud.
Wow.
The king has had psychiatric treatment. The Queen, the late Queen, had psychiatric treatment. The late Princess Margaret had psychiatric treatment. Prince Philip was heavily into psychology and the spiritual aspects of psychology. He was quite Jungian. So they are very sophisticated in terms of mental ill health, mental health, and how to deal with it. So they're not some sort of ordinary British family, because and going all the way back, they have been on the cutting edge of psychology. And people don't realize this. So there is, and anybody who has any experience of psychology will know that when you're dealing with somebody who has manifested the personality traits that Meghan has manifested, there's no cure, there's no solution. The only thing you can do is temporarily block that person, but they are like the sea. They will come back wave after wave after wave after wave. And they understand that, and they want to have nothing to do with her because any access will allow her to create havoc.
Do you know that the condition of your hair, skin, nails, mental clarity, and energy all start with gut health? Adding quality colostrum to your daily routine can help with all of it. Today's sponsor, Cowboy Colostrum, offers the highest quality bovine colostrum available. 100% American made from 100% American grass-fed cows. Unlike other colostrum brands, Cowboy Colostrum is true first-day whole colostrum, and it's rich in bioactives. They also use ethical practices, ensuring that they only collect the surplus colostrum after baby calves have had their fill, made with natural ingredients and no artificial flavors. Just add a scoop of their chocolate, Madagascar vanilla, matcha, or strawberry into your morning smoothie and get healthy from the inside out. And for a limited time, Nerve listeners get up to 25% off your entire order. Just head to cowboycolostrum.com/Maureen and use code Maureen at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code Maureen at cowboycolostrum.com/Maureen.